In this lesson, we're going to learn how to compare and order integers. We are going to start with comparing integers using both a horizontal and vertical number line. We looked at a horizontal number line in our last lesson when we were just talking about integers in general. It looks like this. We know we're going to put arrows at the end of our number line to show that it continues for on and on forever and ever. Okay, so let's say, for example, I'm asking you to compare. And when we're talking about comparing, we're talking about less than, greater than, or equal to. Let's say that I want you to compare -5 and 3. All right, so when we're looking at our number line, and again, this is a horizontal number line, we know that we have to go all the way from -5 to 3. We know that our bigger numbers are always going to be on the right of our number line, and our smaller numbers are always going to be on the left of our number line. We also know that positive numbers go to the right and negative numbers go to the left. So I could put 0 right in the middle, knowing that I have to get at least to 3 on the positive side. And to -5 on the negative side. So if I look at the two numbers I'm comparing, -5 being right here, and +3 being right here, we know that even though 3 sounds like a smaller number, it's bigger because it's further to the right on the number line. So if I were to write this solution, I would say -5 is less than 3. You can also think about it this way. When we talk about negative numbers and positive numbers, a positive number is always going to be bigger than a negative number because a positive number is bigger than 0 and a negative number is less than 0. So again, just as a reminder, when you look at a number line from left to right, numbers are always bigger from left to right. So the further right on a number line, the bigger it is. So now I want you to compare -4 and -7. Please notice that these are both negative numbers. Let's try to use a vertical number line. Those are going to look something like this. They go straight up and down. You still put your arrows on the end of each. We need to understand that our positive numbers will be above and our negative numbers will go down. Since both of my numbers are negatives, when I draw my lines in, I'm going to start at 0. You don't have to always have 0 in a number line, but I'm going to start at 0, and then -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. So this is what a vertical number line looks like. If I plot my points, I have -4 and -7. And I have to realize when you're looking at two negative numbers, the closer a negative is to 0, the bigger the number is. Please make sure you get that written down. You have to think about the fact that the closer it is to 0, the closer it is to the positive numbers. So the bigger it is. Negatives are backwards in a way because the smaller the negative number, the bigger its value is. So -1 is the largest negative integer. So if I were to write this solution, it's -4 is greater than -7. You can see the exact same thing using a horizontal number line. So if I draw a horizontal number line here, and I put my arrows on the end, and I know I have to have -4 and -7 on the number line. I'm going to start here. Zero, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7. The two numbers that I'm comparing again are -4 and -7. You can see again that -4 is further to the right. Therefore, it is going to be bigger, which gives you the same solution. We are going to use this same exact strategy when you are ordering integers. Let's say, for example, I want you to order 0, -1, 2, 3, and -3 from least to greatest. Now we're going to use a number line for this one, but in the end, in the long run, when we're done with all of this, you're probably not going to need a number line to be able to solve these problems. So if I draw my number line, put my arrows on the ends to show that it continues forever and ever, what I'm going to do is first look at all of my numbers, and I'm going to see what is my smallest and my biggest number that I'm dealing with. So my smallest numbers are going to be in the negatives, and I look at my negatives, and I have -1 and -3, and I know that -3 is going to be further from 0, so -3 is going to be my smallest number. And then I look at my positives, 0, 2, and 3, and I see that 3 is going to be my biggest positive. So then I know that my number line has to go from 3 to -3. And if that's the case, I think I can start with 0 in the middle, write my positives in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I went to 4 because that's what fit in my line, and my negatives in, -1, -2, -3, -4. And now what you can do is you can plot your numbers on the number line. First number was 0. Second number was -1. Third number was 2, 3, and then -3. So if I'm going to write these numbers from least to greatest, I'm going to look at these numbers going from left to right, because I know the smaller numbers are on the left and they get bigger in a number line as I go to the right. So my smallest number is -3, and then -1, 0, 2, and then 3. Now, truthfully, from my years of experience, the biggest mistakes people make is ordering the negatives wrong, forgetting that -3 is further away from 0 than -1 is, so -3 is actually smaller, or dealing with the 0 and forgetting that the zeros go directly between the positives and the negatives. So let's say, for example, I want you to order these numbers. -5, 15, -10, -20, and 25. I'm going to look at these numbers. I'm going to draw my number line. And you should really check out the numbers first. I want to find what my smallest number is, so I'm looking at my negatives, -5, -10, and -20. I know that -20 is my smallest negative. Then I have 15 and 25 for my positives, so I know 25 is my biggest positive. So my number line has to go from -20 to 25. I also noticed that all of my numbers are multiples of 5. So when I draw my number line, I'm going to count by 5s, making sure I get all the way to the numbers I need. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Do you notice that you have to make sure that your intervals look the same? You don't want to be sloppy with this. You want to be precise. And -5, -10, -15, -20, -25. Again, using equal intervals because you need to use equal intervals. All right, so let's plot these then. I have -5, +15, -10, -20, and +25. And because I use this number line, I can easily see that my answer is -20, -10, -5, 15, and then 25. So the last thing they're going to ask you to do in this section is reason about integers. They might ask you something like, what is the greatest number between -20 and -10? Okay, so again, I said, what is the greatest integer between -20 and -10? So I'm looking at this section of my number line right here. And I remember that numbers get bigger from left to right. So if I'm looking for the greatest integer between -20 and -10, I know that it's going to have to be further to the right on the number line. So if -10 is the biggest number on the that we're looking at, what is the greatest number up to -10? So that would be the number that's going to show up directly next to -10 on the number line. It can't be greater than -10, so it can't be to the right of it. So it has to be the number that's going to show up just to the left of -10, which we will find to be -11. So that would be the greatest integer between -20 and -10. All right, so we're going to try this out on our own. Good luck.